All right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, today, to be honest, I had an entirely different topic set up. I was going to talk about depression. I was going to talk about rewiring your depression patterns to look out for, different ideologies as to how depression can sink into our life. And, I did an episode on anxiety recently, and I love talking about anxiety, depression, and mental health, and all these different things. And depression is one of the two out of all of the realm of mental health that we talk about that affects me the most. But I'm sitting here, and to be honest, even looking at this sweater. So for any of you guys that don't know, this sweater is success. Success isn't given; it's earned. It's actually part of the mentorship program that I got into. On the back of it has my name and a number on it because I was the 313th person to hit a goal metric for my business out of 10,000 plus people doing it. And, Patty just was here for last past week. He flew out yesterday. I'm recording this on Sunday, being released on Monday. And obviously, you guys know Emma's being a host here on the podcast and stuff now. And, every now and then I just feel like, just give you guys a big update as to where my life is at in comparison to what you guys see online, what I talk about. And I was on a call last week, and I know, Amanda, shout you out. I know you're comfortable with me calling you out. Not calling you out, but, name dropping and telling you that we had this convo. But, she joked, and I always appreciate you a ton, Amanda. We always have great conversations about mental health. And I always say we talk about things together versus pointing fingers at each other. Because it's hard to have, deep-rooted, emotionally evoking conversations sometimes, But she made a comment, and she was laughing. She was like, it just feels good to hear that you struggle sometimes. And it's not in a negative way, and I don't take that negatively at all. But, I'm a mentor, a coach, a leader for so many people, mental health, physically, nutrition, like so many different avenues of leading, right? And I only know what I know. I only see what I see, and I only pay attention to what I pay attention to. And that's not from a negative standpoint, right? Because we're our worst critics, right? We are the only person in our life. If you got good boundaries, hopefully there's no one else in your life doing this, but that's super hard on us, right? That has ungodly amount of expectations as to perfectionism, expectations on like how we feel we should look, how much money we should be making, our emotional statuses, like, and all of this pairs with our ego in terms of what we think we deserve and all these things. And, that's a big reason why I want to talk about depression and stuff as well, because it's always a good reminder, and there's thousands of different ways we could talk about and give impact. But, just to give a big update as to where my life is at right now, currently, as I record this episode. It is October, I don't even fucking know, October 20th, I think. Near the end of October, 2025 is in 2.5 fucking months. Right around the fucking corner, and so many of you guys have been here for so long that you guys have been such a big part of my journey in my life that, when I give updates like this, I get so much feedback as to how inspiring it is because, you guys only see what you see. You guys don't see the versions of me that's struggling, that's trying to get to the next level and going through everything that we're going through because it's just like, not saying I put on a facade, but, we're getting after it. We got no time to sit back and be little bitches about our life and be a victim of stuff, right? We got to show up 10 toes down, chin up, chest out, get after it. But to give you a couple updates, this year I did a bodybuilding show. I exceeded my expectations. A lot of you guys know that the bodybuilding show meant to me validating me in my own skin. The business and creating the freedom and being able to have me and Emma live at home and do this, and this is our full-time job. It'll be 2 years since doing that full time this January. And I would say, like a lot of validation this past year has come with me realizing I am that person in my life to create this life, to create this community, to provide impact, to provide so much value. And a lot of you guys gratefully have been part of this process of me becoming this version, right? So I got a ton of validation externally from the business, from my clients and all these different things that I was able to do. I really was able to put myself in a position to heal myself mentally, physically, emotionally, and got myself into a position to just be so focused on peace, joy, love, fulfillment, and just really have everything aligned in that. Even my finances, because I'm not about making money. It's about being free and doing what you can with who you want to as how you want to, And I think that's a lot of my clients. You guys have those realizations when I talk about like money makes the world go round. Yes. But at what expense are you going to sacrifice your life for X money? For me, I didn't care about the money besides being able to be free and do this stuff for full time, X, Y, and Z, so the reason why I'm bringing that up and talking about the bodybuilding show is because the bodybuilding show was the most validation for me being the man I know I could be. If you don't know, I got addicted to drugs, just bodybuilding, like steroids, performance enhancement drugs, and all these different things. It wasn't a severe addiction. That's not me sugarcoating it by any means. I was on and off this stuff for about 2 years, and we won't talk about how we got into it and all these different things, but there's definitely a lot of episodes on it. But when I did that, I lost a version of myself, and I felt shame, I felt guilt. I was humiliated by my own actions, and I was just disgusted with who I became because I didn't understand who I was at that time, you know? So for me to get back into the bodybuilding show and technically break sobriety by getting back into the show and, you know, dabbling in PEDs and things like this from a holistic standpoint, from healing and all these different things, from peptides, I talked about it on the podcast before, but I was going into the depths of hell. I was going straight to my alter ego and grabbing him by the neck, being like, this is who I want to be. This is who you made me before. And I know it's both of us tangoing right now, but I'm in control. So for me to do that bodybuilding show, it was entirely for me to realize that I was who I said I could be despite what had happened. You know, like, and it gives me cold chills even right now. You can't see because I'm wearing fucking 17 layers, but like, it was so like riveting. It was just so electrifying to like go there, go to Toronto, fly to Toronto, and do it around my job, my business. Like my entire community came. Logan, you came. Candace, you came. You even fucking competed. Haley, you came. You know, Tanner and Cole, you guys came down from their show. Cole, you're my coach. All these things, and you know, for all of us to be pulling on the same rope on just for the same goal of showing the fuck up. This year, come next year, we already talked about this. You know, we have all these other things. I won't go on about it, but like that just really set the foundation as to what's possible. And all of that was on the back end of me just proving to me I was that version of myself. That was in May. So June, July, August, September, October. That was about 5-6 months ago. And I'm at the point now where like, you know, I just really, really allowed myself to enjoy the person that I became. And that was super, super hard, which is why I was talking about anxiety and talking about depression and these things, because, you know, that's a lot of my clients. I talk to you guys about that each week, each check-in. And Brett, I'm actually getting on a call with you today after I record this podcast. Actually, let me check my phone, make sure you didn't text me. Nope, you didn't text me. Boom, so we good, you know? And it's funny because I'm not going to edit it out because this is like, it's my life, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, I always tell you guys, like, it's you guys are already doing all the work. You guys are showing up. You're putting in the effort. You guys are crossing your T's. You're dotting your I. You can't put any more output out into the world. It's about changing the intentions and the equality and making sure what you're actually doing is right for you. And I think for me, like, on top of the validation about creating my life in this way, being so free and not needing to listen to anybody and have my own freedom to create my life, and then have the validity on my resume of me creating the man that I wanted within my own skin, within my own life, it was super, super validating, you know? And what I did was, like, especially with Patty being here last week, like, I was able to really just get a lot of self-reflecting. And to give you guys an example, a lot of you guys don't really know who Patty is, but Patty lifts. I'm part of his coaching team, one of his head coaches, and it's super exciting because I met him 2.5 years ago. No, it would have been 2 years ago this January, February. And if you've seen the picture of me standing beside him, I was like a fish out of fucking water. I was so nervous, like had no clue. I was just literally at the very, very beginning stages of me like wanting to change my life. And this was after 2 years of doing it. But like I said to you guys, it takes a lot of back end work before you start to get like, you know, your mountain in front of you of momentum of what like your goals come to fruition. But even just 2 years ago, seeing me next to him was like, I literally was almost embarrassed looking at myself because I was like, man, like, you could see in my face how shy I was. You could see how insecure I was, how just like inferior I felt. There wasn't anybody else externally. It was just me and my own body, my skin. And then you see the pictures of me and him now in the gym together, training after working together for the last 1.5 years and a bit. Like, words can't even comprehend, like, me looking at myself and just seeing the growth, feeling the growth, and understanding that I am, in fact, becoming that person that I want to become. And I'm saying all this to give you guys life updates because I still struggle with depression. I still struggle with imposter syndrome. Like, am I good enough for these things and stuff like that? I do that with all my content all the time, like my reels and stuff. I feel like that all the time. But it's like, that's another challenge and a whole different conversation as to marketing and being an authority within the fitness and stuff like that. But, you know, like there's still a lot of things that I struggle with that is the same foundation as to when I began. Depression, anxiety, OCD, you know what I mean? Like all these different things, and it like PTSD and dealing with these things. But it's like I said, the quality of all this stuff is changing. You know what I mean? The intentionality behind a lot of stuff is changing. And, you know, I was talking to Emma about it this morning, and like if you were to ask me if we were going to be here even remotely close to this at this age at 30, I would have never believed you. And I'm saying all this because it's like, it's okay to never feel like you're at the right spot in your life, because I don't truly believe you're ever going to be, this is it. You know, that's never going to come. It's never going to wake up and you're just going to be like, this is exactly where I want it to be, unless you proactively engage in that thought pattern and measure your success. And, you know, I can confidently say like where I am at right now is in fact where I wished I was at. be able to financially secure myself, have the freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want, have the resources in my pocket to make sure I'm still progressing mentally, physically, and emotionally with like chiropractors, physio, massage, and other forms of therapy and things like this, and be able to lead a business and have impact and be able to put myself in a position to just go where I want is exactly where I want it to be. And I think the biggest thing that I want to like kind of give as a takeaway from this entire episode of just sharing where I've been and what I'm going through and all these different things is, when you start to realize that you have exceeded your own expectations and you actually, in fact, have come as far as you wanted to, you're going to realize that that's where another battle begins. And you start to realize that two things, actually. One, you start to realize how much more you're capable of doing and becoming. You realize that, you start to see all that, you start to get these little snippets of, did I really think about that? Did I really think about I want to do this for my career? Did I really think about this is how I want to set my boundary? Did I really think about this is where I want to take my life? And you start to gain those little snippets of hope and validation as you did growing into this part. But then you also realize that you still have some of those parts that are like a little bit hard to manage. Like if you do suffer from depression patterns and anxiety and these things, you're still going to have those days you wake up and be like, is it worth it? Do I really want to do this? And to be honest, with me for a long time, I feel like I was caught up in that idea of being like, I created the life that I wanted. And it was like I was still struggling to be super, super happy. Even when I was talking to Amanda on the phone and we're just talking about day-to-day things. And, like I'm trying to gain weight for my bodybuilding shows leading into what I'm going to do next year. I want to do 2 or 3 shows next year. This year, it was just me proving I was the man that I wanted to become. And I was the man I am in my own skin. And another one was just like, proving that I could do this with the injuries that I had and all these different things. And next year, I want to do 3 shows, 2 minimum, third if everything kind of pans out the way I want it to be. And I'm struggling to gain weight right now. And it's like I'm in the same position trying to track my macros, eat certain types of foods and balance it out with these types of foods and enjoying myself and all these different things, just as you guys are right now. If you're trying to lose a little bit of fat, you're trying to gain a little bit of weight, and I know more people are trying to lose fat than it is gain, but I do have a couple clients I'm working with that are trying to gain weight. I do have a couple clients and people I talk to all the time that, are on the hard gainers and things like this. And, regardless of what side of the fence you're on, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you're never going to have those days that, I did it, unless you proactively give yourself that reassurance that you did. Because, with me struggling right here, my relationship with food is still being pressed against because I'm trying to gain weight. So the goal and stuff hasn't changed. Has the quality of my goals changed? 1,000%. That's why I'm talking about that little subtlety of making sure you're proactively giving yourself the praise for what you have done. Because, me sitting here back, doing this podcast episode, enjoying my fucking life, 90% of me actually feeling the success behind it was me actually sitting back and reflecting on my goals and being like, oh, I did cross this one off. 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 And it was like a few weeks, months, pending what goal I was talking about, that I've accomplished it. But I still didn't feel as if I did. And I'm saying all this because, me sitting here right now, going into next year, 2025, I'm almost lost for fucking words at where I'm going to be at this time next year. Like, I have no fucking clue. I'm making new goals, and not that I'm making new goals, but the expectations of where I'm at in front of me has changed so drastically. I let so much go because when I start to realize a lot of my mindset was just around changing the patterns in front of me to give myself the abundance that I actually was working for, which 90% of you guys can relate to that, you start to realize that you can exceed your expectations on so many more fronts, and that becomes a mirror of the people around you that aren't helping you, and that's a whole other different story. But, as I'm sitting here looking forward to next year, the 2 things that I can say is, number 1, I'm the exact same fucking person as to start it. And that's something that you guys all got to appreciate, is you are the same person, and you are that person that did start this fucking journey, and it's going to work out, and it's proof in front of you that it's working out, which leads me to my second part, is that it's on you to really change that relationship, change that perspective, change the lens, change the narrative. Like whatever resonates with you the most, you just got to be the one to change the narrative, because you just deserve it. You just deserve to let go of any limitation, anything that's anchoring you down, anything that's giving you resistance as to what makes you feel less than who you are capable of becoming, and actually look at your goals for what they are and realize, like, did you beat the generational trauma? And I'm going to start with a heavy one. Did you beat the generational trauma? Because 90% of you guys have beat the generational trauma of becoming a better woman, becoming a better man, better father, better mother, better cousin, better brother, better sister, better anything relative, and you're beating your family. But you can't accept that you are, because to accept that you are beating your family's generational trauma, you have to accept that they were who they were and they are who they are. And that's where you're stuck at. Same with relationships, same with like your personal goals. Like, you're so embedded onto things that you think you're lacking of, that you're not realizing you're progressively moving forward. And you start to realize these moving forward perspectives are the ones you got to change all the time. That's the one you're realizing that you actually are in fact on the journey of becoming the best version of yourself, which is what it is. It's a journey. It's not a destination. The destination are all the pit stops where you earned those times back to yourself for the goals. Prime example, I did the bodybuilding show. 2 or 3 months after that, I didn't track any macros. I've earned that time back. Now I'm trying to gain weight. I'm tracking my macros again. Start bodybuilding prep probably like January, February, March. And then it'll be a high season again where I don't have any of that time back because I'm going for another goal. And I think that little subtlety of realizing where you're at amongst your goals, you guys are going to realize you are so much fucking further. And to give you an update and finish it off where I'm at, I feel like I'm fucking thriving. I feel like, there's one of the biggest thing with me is I don't really have goals that aren't any different than they were last year. And that's take over the fucking world, build my community as big as I fucking can, and keep challenging myself to grow within the gym, challenge these injuries, challenge my self-limiting beliefs of anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, and anything that I've been through, and just keep fucking inspiring. And if you are even remotely thinking that you're capable of even doing what I'm doing as I'm sitting here or you're listening to it, whatever it may be, just know like 10 times over, if I'm sitting here doing it, I can promise you can. And I know that's cheesy, but like I said, you show up, you change your life, and then you realize you change your life, and that's when your life really changed. And that's where a lot of you guys are, is having to realize you change your life. But I appreciate you guys a ton. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update as to where I'm at mentally, what I've been going through, and there's only 2.5 months left of the year. I think the biggest thing with that is to show the fuck up and compare yourself to who you were entering this year last year, and just compare that person to who you want to enter this fucking year with, because you're going to exceed your expectations beyond your comprehension if you just show the fuck up, give yourself the praise, and put in the work. Appreciate you guys all. Let's have the blessed motherfucking week of our lives, and let's continue to do what we do best, which is show the fuck up. Let's go.